on the group saying that I have a 5 o'clock hard stop, so we'll see how far we get in 30 minutes, and then if we
Yep.
can at some point this week, maybe schedule another one. Otherwise, we can do it
It
or the
might have to
next
wait
call
until
next
next
week.
week. So today was a single session, and then every day after this, it's going to be done. Well, I'm only working half a day tomorrow anyway, and then every day after that until training's over, it's going to be at least 2 sessions per day. So,
Busy guy. All right.
yeah, it's going to be crammed days from now on for the next week.
Sounds good. Well, we can we'll always go ahead and look at this and see if there's something we want to prioritize then for today's
Let's
session.
just go down the list and see what we can get through. And if we don't get to anything and we're 10 minutes to 5, then we'll jump to that if you see anything that's a high priority.
Sounds good.
So
Up front, real quick, rain chain modeling is low priority, so that can definitely wait till next week, just FYI
mhm.
or future. But okay, back to the show. Thanks.
The audit was actually, oh, that's wrong. Wrong. I have like 5 Google accounts, so it's trying to pull it up in the wrong account. The audit was actually pretty good. There wasn't very much in here. This is mostly for future reference. Anytime you're creating a custom JPEG image for surfaces, try and make sure that that JPEG or PNG is below 4 megs, preferably below 2, especially if it's going to be used widely throughout the project. Like if it's a siding surface, definitely keep it below 2. If it's something where you're like, oh, this is wall art, it's only going to show in this one room, that's fine. No action really needed on that. There's not a ton of bloat. That's fine. There was a bunch of missing stuff in the drawing manager. That's under File, External Content, Drawing Manager. Just assess what's in there that can be removed or relinked. No attribute pollution. That was fine. What was the issue here? Oh, so the template has all of this stuff for building 1, building 2, building 3 for generic multi-building projects. If that stuff is being used, if there's a section marker in a building, rename that section marker to reflect what building that's cut through. If there's a folder in the view map for building 1, building 2, whatever, let's keep that clean. And then also the layout book. If we know if we're on 24 by 36, let's delete the 30 by 42 stuff. If we're still not sure, don't delete it before we're sure. But if we know that everything's going to fit on 24 by 36, clean that stuff up. That's big stuff that can be bloating the file. The polygon count was great. No major solid element operation issues. The ArchiCAD layer, if you turn all layers off, the ArchiCAD layer will stay on. That'll give you a really clear idea of what stuff's on the ArchiCAD layer. Mostly focus on the 3D stuff, but also floor plan stuff. There was one wall that just needs to be drawn. It was 180.004 degrees. That sort of stuff. I don't have the file open right now, but that sort of stuff can be frustrating to try and troubleshoot later. I left that label on the ArchiCAD layer in the floor plan view, so it should be easy enough to spot it. It should be a bright red. Should we say 180?
So is it best to delete the wall and then redraw it?
I think so. There are ways to get it fixed, but it's such a short little wall. Just eyedrop it, draw one that's straight up at a 0-degree angle, and drop it back into place.
Okay.
This one was the big one, is that story settings are not linked to the actual model position. So like there are slabs that are excuse me, there are slabs that are 12 inches above home story, but it's like the whole model is 12 inches too tall. So like the main floor slab should be 0 to home story at top of slab. So I think we could just like reserve all, select the whole model, drop the whole thing down 12 inches. And that fixes 90% of it. The other issue was that, and I'm less concerned about the lower level because it's only a small portion and it is actually the correct height below the story. So that floor is actually up from its home story by 30 inches on that section of the model. Right?
Yeah, this looks, I think we had a point, I think, where we moved the model in relation to the site up by a foot or vertically by a foot. And so I think this is probably our miss in terms of not making sure that we're doing it wrong in terms of the home story correlation. But when we do that, or if we do sort of the move it all down by a foot to the home story, we want to leave or somehow have the site track with the relative distance to the current
Right, so all you have to do
finish
is pull
floor.
up the 3D model, select everything and reserve
just-
all, and
okay.
then hit Command 9. Command 9 is the shortcut to elevate, and you'll shift the whole model, site, and everything. So the position of the building to the site won't change because the site and the building move down 12 inches.
Got it.
And
Okay,
then
that
at the
makes
very
sense.
least, your main level is going to be dialed. You'll be set. And then let's not worry too much about the lower level because that's adjusting the story settings is going to crunch it way up. And then anyway, if that becomes an issue later on, that's something that I can tackle for you guys. So that was that. Rain chain modeling. Oh, I didn't see the link there.
Let's pull. We can do this next week. This is a low priority kind of thing, but it's just something to keep in the back of our mind that we're going to want to bring something like this in, and wondering if we already have it, if someone's already done it before, and if it lives in some sort of library somewhere or not. We can do it and contribute to a Walker Warner library if that's a thing. But anyway, this is something that
we have rain
putting.
chains in our library, but they literally are like links.
Yeah, and that's what we're deviating away from.
Yeah.
Yep.
We might be able to do this with a series of columns. Let me take a look at this after training. If this can wait until next week, just remind me next week.
Definitely a low priority. Thanks.
So yeah, that rain chain in particular has not been modeled. We can make it an object or probably just make it a custom column. Okay, let's see, basic structure.
Yes, this is when I can pull up my or I guess
yeah, go ahead and
pull up
share
my model here. If I let's see, share screen, continue. Sorry, give me a moment. Okay, we go to the section. Just example, and I think it might, and I should have touched base with Chris beforehand, because I think it might have already been done. And Danali, correct me if I'm on the wrong track here, but we were looking at, overall, we're looking at at least giving as much information as we can to the structural engineer, given that we don't have much information here yet, structurally speaking. And so we had these beams and girders that were going through our project that were initially modeled as just rectangular extrusions. And we've since been changing them to be I-beams and having a steel cut fill when they're cut through. And I think the gist of it, and again, Danali, please jump in here if I'm misremembering, but the gist of it was that we want to make sure that as much as we can sort of show them some representative of what we're thinking in terms of what steel it's not. We want to do that. Where did my section go? There it is.
Yeah, I think we had initially modeled them as like foam core material, and then now we're in the process of changing it to steel, so it shows up in section.
Yeah, and I think we're on track. Did you do these Danali? Because everything that I've looked at so far with the sections, they've already been replaced. I don't know if it was you or Chris, but
Yeah, I had changed the material for 2 types of I-beams, but I'm not sure if that's all of it. So
okay, then maybe that's something we touch base with Chris and on in that case, since it's already underway. Well, thanks for getting the ones so far, and so I think maybe when we have a grasp on it, so maybe it's just something I have to touch base with Danali on to get my own edification up to par. But if you have anything to add in, Patrick, on that would help us out, cool. If not, I'll
I think the only extra input there, so 2 things looking at the section. So specifically with the beams and the surfaces and their appearance, as much as you can manage those surface overrides in the profile settings. So that way they're changing globally and you're not like individually like, oh, this beam is the right color, this one's not. It's changed universally within the beam profile settings. So if you select it and then right click on the beam itself and then say edit selected profile.
And I might have to reserve this guy since it's not reserved.
You don't need the beam reserved, you just need the profile manager reserved.
In that case, cool.
Yeah, so edit selected profile about 2/3 down. Yeah, right there. And if you select the fills in the profile here on the actual profile screen, right here.
Oh, thank you.
And then under here's where you want to reserve. And then click I think it's components. It's one of the subsections here. Yeah, so you can click override surfaces. And then if you set that here, don't override them in the beam settings.
Grayed out in this one right here though. So it's
Oh, because the fill's not, you have to select the fill in the floor.
Oh, I see.
Or in
Got
the,
it, got it.
yeah, and then override, and then click there and
then-
change it here. And then in the beam settings, just make sure you're not overriding it in the beam settings. And then you have global control editing the profile instead of every instance of that place profile.
Okay, so here I'd want to make it steel, or would it just be or is the reason that it's red right
Whatever,
now?
whatever surface you want that beam to look like in 3D.
When cut or exterior surface, sorry. This is
I would
for,
probably do it like one of these steel surfaces to start with. But the advantage of doing it this way is then you know in your model, it's updating model wide for every single instance of that profile.
yeah, okay. And sorry, again, this is for the cut visibility or cut
This is
patch,
the,
or
no, this is the uncut visibility.
okay, I see.
For the
Yeah.
cut visibility, you actually would override it over here.
Okay, so we'll just choose that for now and then, okay, and then
And
apply.
hit save
Save
and then close.
and close.
Yeah, but otherwise it looks about right, so.
Cool. Okay, and then here's where you would assign the plan and floor section cut, or the plan cut and floor section.
Yeah, the plan override, dash line, solid fill, whatever, however it needs to show in floor plan.
Okay. All right, cool. Move on from that guy. Let's see. And pipe column HSS profiles. I could do that with Chris Wagner. Steel beams, update sections pair exporting. Looks like they're already good to go. Sorry, I'm reading the stock right now.
So the steel profile, you also have the profile editor, right? So you've got the import select or import steel profiles. If you go to options and complex profiles,
faster than I look.
and then import standard steel profiles.
S-
So you've got the ability to find whatever shapes, sizes of standard
nice.
profile. So you can use this, but you can also just create custom profiles.
Oh, cool. This is helpful. These are all our standard steels. Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
and there's the geometry drop down where you can pick the various shape types here, and then just make sure you set the building material over in the upper right corner to be steel before you bring it in.
Got it. Okay. I wonder why it's on masonry. Is there a different
It's just so it's our template uses that as the
base?
building material number.
Okay.
Versus the out of the box.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. I think we're good on that one.
Material elevation stuff. Danley said, or Jeffrey said there might be.
Or if you have any on that end, if you're good, we're good. But
Yeah, I do have some questions, but if Jeff has, before he has to leave at 5, if you have any other notes you want to go over.
There was a
Go
note
ahead.
about elevations, exporting those out to DWG.
yeah. So we went over, I think it was last week, on getting those like 4 elevations per DWG for quick export. I guess number 1, I need a little refresher because I didn't record enough notes on that one.
Sure.
And then number 2, I wanted the same thing for the sections. So I guess we could just start with the sections if that makes sense. Or
so let's go ahead and pull up the organizer rather than just the navigator here. So if you click,
that's right, the multi-view thing.
So if you click right here on this flyout, there's the show organizer.
Give me a moment. There it is.
Okay, so in the right-hand column, let's pull up the publisher sets right here. And you'll probably have to go back up to the main publisher dialog, click right there, and then, yeah, click that guy.
If it reacts, let's see. Maybe
Oh, it was
there we
trying
go.
to draw a marquee or something. Okay, so that is layouts to single DWG. Let's go ahead and open up that publisher set. I just wanted to make sure that it was reserved. You can just double click on it. And then collapse this whole 24x36 folder down. Let's create a new folder right here. And call that, like, give it the name of whatever you want the DWG to be saved as.
And I guess typical Walker Warner will do a 1 file for elevations, 1 file for sections, or what's typical standard that you've seen in terms of office backgrounds?
I mean, it's across the board. It really depends on what the consultant needs. We've gone through the efforts of saving out individual DWGs for every elevation or section. We've done this sort of batch save where it's most efficient. If they didn't mind the elevations saved the way that we did them, let's just keep rolling with it.
Okay. What do I want to call this? Can we rename this later on or can I rename this later on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do sections for now.
Okay, and then on the left-hand column, let's pull up the public or the layout book. And then in here, find the layouts that you want. And just bring all of those over into that folder. Yep, there you go. And then expand this folder down. And select everything in that folder, and let's change the format to DWG. And then go to translator settings right here. Just make sure that it's going to save out. So go to settings and save options. And okay, so we're you have to change this to paper space. Any one of the paper space options will do. But basically or try the next one down, because it should free up the place drawing. There we go. And then change this to a single, and then change this back to model space. I don't know why it does this, but it locks it out when you're in model space. And then that should be all you need there. So go ahead and say save settings and close. Click on the folder that those drawings are in, and then click merge to one DWG. Change this from entire set to selected. And then you can right click on the folder and go to the publishing properties and set the destination as your desktop.
Got it. Cool.
It looks like it already is your desktop, so then say okay, and then you just have to hit publish. You might wait on hitting publish until we're done here, because it's going to process for 5-10+ minutes.
Yeah. Cool. Fantastic. Thank you for going over that again. And then I have another question in this kind of realm that reminded me of. We have a double sheet, or a sheet that we're trying to delete rather. It is here. I've since deleted the views from it. Long story short, couldn't delete it, couldn't figure it out. So I reserved the views, deleted them. Still can't delete it. Okay.
Sorry, the third tab. Yep, sorry, I forget that my thing always. Reserve that here, so reserve layout. And then hit delete right here. Delete anyway.
Oh. No, it did.
And now
okay,
that should be purged out from the publisher, as well as I think trying to delete it from the publisher will not work, because that's all linked content.
Okay, that's what I was doing wrong. All right. Okay, I get it. So this all links just from here, and it's just linked content. Okay.
And these little icons with the little up arrow mean that they're shortcuts to the publisher, and you cannot merge shortcuts. You have to create a new folder to create a merged DWG.
These guys.
That little up arrow right there
indicates
that those are links to the layout book, which cannot be merged. They're only there if you wanted to grab this stuff and drag it down into a folder. You don't have to have the navigator with the 2 columns up. You can do that within one view. But
Got it. Navigator
it's so much easier to do with the organizer than with just the navigator.
Straightforward in the organizer. All right, cool. That makes sense to me. Let me see if there's anything else on my.
We should update our sections, if possible, as soon as possible, to the current graphic standards, which basically say sections should follow the same graphics as the floor plans.
Let's do it.
Showing full fills and stuff. But maybe that's something we tackle next week.
Okay, that sounds good too. Okay. That's it from my immediate list of needs. I'll be out in 8 minutes, but we can either jump to interior elevation stuff with Danali if she has anything, or we can go to rain chain modeling. I guess that's probably something you want to look into independently. So yeah, I can go ahead and I don't know if stop being share will stop the recording. Hopefully not.
No, it shouldn't. And actually, Danali, if you want to, and actually the rain chain, why don't you let me take a pass at that? As long as you don't need it before next Wednesday, I'll make sure you get it.
Sounds good. We won't get to it before then either way. So
okay,
we're good. Thank you.
Okay. And then I had a question about the sequencing for the interior elevations. I found that if I lay out the interior elevations like 4 at a time, the sequencing isn't the way that I intended to be. Even when I shift it around on the sheet, it'll still show like this. And the only workaround that I found worked was doing it one by one.
So I'll show you exactly how that. So is this the way you wanted it, counterclockwise, starting at the right? Or sorry,
Yeah, because I think
So
think
pull up
the
one that
standard
you're
said
pull up one that you're not happy with. Like let's zoom to one that isn't
okay.
showing in the right order.
Okay.
In the
And I
floor plan.
also saw that the I guess the graphic standard said to start with Project North. So I guess for our Project North will be on the right.
I think it's
So
pretty flexible as long as we're consistent.
okay. So that's what I mentally had set up these sheets to look like. So, but when I put it in the sequence that I want it to, then the numbers don't update. So this is still 3 where it should be 2.
So
this should
click
be 3
the
easier.
drop down. Here, let me get my annotation. So click the drop down next to the layout. Let's expand this layout down to see everything that's on this. So take the drawing that's in the 2 position right here. Wait, hold on. Take the drawing that's in the 3 position and drag this in between the 1 and the 2 position. And now this becomes drawing number 2. So the order of these things are quite literally the order that they're listed on the sheet in the navigator.
Okay.
And then that updates on the marker as well. So now east is going to be 1 in plan, south is going to be 2. So you're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, perfect. Also for the naming, the automatic naming of the elevations, it's saying that this is north, but technically this is north. So is there a way
So go
to,
to
do I have to manually change that?
no, go to ArchiCAD, the ArchiCAD drop-down menu in the upper left, and go to project preferences and location settings. You'll have to reserve the location settings. And then set this to, I think, 0. 0 should be straight to the right. There we go. And now say okay.
Awesome.
And because we're using the auto text for that, now this is going to be north, east, west, south.
Okay, that's perfect. All right, that's all I have.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I've just been following that template that we were looking at this morning. So I think it's pretty straightforward.
There's one other thing. Can you select one of the drawings on that layout? I just wanted to point out. So sometimes what happens, and I don't know if you've come across it, but like if, for example, this ceiling slab right here runs right at that edge, even though you have a masking fill there, if the slab that's being masked out or the element that's being masked out is right on that line, sometimes it bleeds through in the final print. So you can go to the settings of this. There's a fix for that. If you ever see that pop up in a PDF. So go to the settings of this drawing and under frame, click on add printable border. Set this distance to 0 and set the pen to 92. So 92 is like a 1 millimeter thick white pen, and that'll mask everything out that might have bled through. So it doesn't look like it's an issue on this, but it has popped up before where like, you know, there'll be a thick slab or something that just happens to line up right with your drawing frame. And no amount of masking will make that go away. But that drawing pen will, that frame will.
0 and 92. Okay, so.
But also if you had text that was like right up against that, it's going to mask that out as well. So it's going to mask anything that's on that drawing. Usually we've got enough of a buffer between that text and.
Okay, got it. Good to know. All right, thanks. All right, Yeah, this is all very just tedious work, so.
It really is. It really is. Interior elevations and door and window details. They're
The
I get
worst.
put on them all the time. It's quality.
All right. I'll be dropping here. I think I don't know if everyone else is dropping too, but thank you, Patrick, for going over getting through so much faster than I thought you would. Impressive.
And
But
I
yeah.
will get that the recording up. I've got actually a Walker Morning YouTube channel going for all of these training videos that I'm sort of curating and archiving. And I'll get you guys linked to that soon.
Very cool. Would appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Talk later.
See you later.
Bye.